Great. Okay, so this is me in a nutshell. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. It's a crazy busy slide, kind of like my life at the moment. As you can see, my daughter, she's about 1 year old, little over, and has added to some of the chaos that I already had in my life. But yeah, I'm from Rochester originally, and I wanted to get into film and video. And I had this uncle in Alaska who kept telling me I got to come fishing with him, and I didn't really want to, but finally I said, okay, we'll give it a shot, and fell in love with it. So once I got up there, I made it my mission. I wanted to try every type of fishing, and so I'm trying to show people that, and I've done not every type, of course, but I've done a handful, and I show some of that in this presentation. And yeah, I started direct marketing my fish, and that's how I met Salmon Chairs, was actually through the Kodiak Jig Seafoods, which was started by Kelly Harrell of Alaska Marine Conservation Council. And yeah, that's how I met Salmon Chairs. So we'll keep going here. Let's see.
Ryan, how long have you been fishing for us?
I've been with the company for 2 years. Well, yeah, 2 years steady, but Salmon Chairs has been buying our fish from Kodiak Jig Seafoods for, I think, 3. And so I've been officially with the company for 2. But yeah, this is my dad over here on the right, helping us put labels on our pickled fish in Kodiak, in a plant that I used to run up there. And this is Valerie, my girlfriend, helping us get ready for some smoking. And there she is again, helping us sell shares at the winter market in Hotel Henry here in Buffalo. And this is the guy that got me up there. He's been my inspiration. He came down to my house when I was about 5 years old and built an igloo on the front lawn and said that's what everyone lives in Alaska. And this was the 80s, so it was kind of like, I had no way of knowing if he was telling the truth or not. And that was him in a nutshell. He wanted to just make people laugh all the time and tell some tall tales as fishermen do. But yeah, he was well loved in the community, and had a tragedy on the Pacific Cloud here. He was diving for sea cucumbers, and the way they do that is there's a long tether. There's a compressor on deck with a line that goes down to the diver so they can stay underwater longer and fill their bags with sea cucumbers. And his compressor had quit, and they don't really know exactly what happened, but his cause of death is drowning. And so that's what brought me back to Alaska. I'd been the only one in the family who fished with him, so I jumped right on board and tried to help sell everything. And my aunt ended up giving it to me so that I could continue the family tradition. So yeah, there's lots of superstitions on boats, and these are some of them. And they all have some origin, and they just get passed down over the years. There's a book in my recommended reading at the end called The Ocean Almanac that kind of goes into detail on some of these, but I think a lot of it's just made up. Like some people don't like smoking, so there's no smoking on a boat. That's bad luck. And some people don't like chicken with bones in it, if you could believe it or not. And so they don't want that on a boat, and that's bad luck. Every reason under the sun why we're not catching fish. So yeah, that's pretty fun getting in that. And so this last one, never leave on a Friday. Here's what happened when we left on a Friday. This is Augustine Volcano on Friday the 13th on a full moon. And yeah, it went off, and that was kind of interesting. It excuse me. It definitely scared us, made us realize how made me think about how small we are. You know, you sometimes feel like you're on top of the ocean and you're making a living and you're a tough guy and everything, but events like this kind of bring you back down to earth, so to speak. And especially with the increase in volcanic activity and earthquakes we're having up there, it's just it's very humbling, and it's good. We're very small in this big picture. And then last year, in 2018, I went up there in January to help get some of our rockfish for the shares, and this tsunami warning happened, and I had to go evacuate my father from his boat. He was living on a boat in Dog Bay, and that was during the government shutdown. So I was worried about, you know, what kind of services we were going to have, and this is what came up on the tsunami website. At least they were up and running, but the whole thing ended up being not a big deal. It was just a big drill for us in Kodiak, and made us realize that, hey, we haven't really done too many of these tsunami drills in a long time. And the whole town at one point had been wiped out by a tsunami just about, and they had to rebuild. But for 2018, my friend's chair fell over. So, and I think that's probably staged. So this is some funny stuff on a boat I used to work on. And when I got on there, I saw these, and they just kind of, you know, sit with you throughout the day. And they're kind of true. I mean, being on the boat is not a democracy. If there's a bunch of voting and talking and debating, things don't get done. So you kind of have to just roll with it. And this is very true. A collision at sea can totally ruin your day. This is the beauty of boat work. This is cleaning the boat, and then also repairing. So this is, when I went to Alaska, I didn't know how to change the oil in my car. And I quickly learned how to do whatever needed to be done to keep the boat running. And in this case, we were fixing a generator that the head gasket had blown. And this thing is a 1975 model. I don't even know how many hours it had. It just ran all the time until it didn't. And yeah, we learned how to fix it. So you get really resourceful up there. I'm easily off topic, so I'm going to try to keep coming back to life on a boat, life on a commercial fishing vessel. And yeah, this is, you know, when you start looking at the cost of seafood, I know it's hard to swallow sometimes. I know I couldn't afford it at most times in my life. I wouldn't be buying some of the seafood that we're selling right now, but these are some of the costs that are involved with, you know, fishing. And a lot of it's just the upfront cost, which is why Salmon Share's business model being so unique and important for us small guys. It really helps us to get going. You know, it really greases the wheels, and having that assurance that, you know, people are going to buy your fish is really gives me, it keeps me at ease. I know that there's a market there for me. Because sometimes processors go bankrupt. You know, you think you have someone lined up to buy your fish, and you do all this work, spend all this money, and then they're out of business. It just happened last year to a plant in Kodiak. So, excuse the gruesomeness of this, but yeah, this is what happens sometimes. We sometimes get a hook in our hand, and sometimes you let someone run your boat and they tell you they're not going to put it on the rocks. And a friend of yours will send you a picture of your boat on the rocks. So that happened to me. That was the one time I let someone run my boat, my uncle's boat. And this is what happened. So, yep, it all adds to the cost of doing business. This is another part of it. This is my friend Jonathan, who this was some of the weather we were fishing in that winter. it was a really long, cold, miserable winter. This is my first big weather I was in with the Pacific Cloud. And he was out there in that little Evelyn O fishing right next to us. And he ended up taking his own life a few weeks later. I'm not sure what pushed him over the edge, but he was in a steady mental decline for many months. And then it was just sad to watch him go. And it was too bad because right after this, the weather broke and it got nice and fishing got good and people were happy again. So that was kind of sad to see him go. This is the ominous Priest Rock outside of Dutch Harbor. Kind of a cool looking, looks like a priest. And just it's very, I don't know. It does something to you the first time you see that when you're leaving Dutch. It's
Dutch Harbor is in Kodiak, right, Ryan?
No, sorry. This is Dutch Harbor is out on the Aleutian chain. Yeah, apologies, everybody. I have a tendency to jump around. Yeah, this is where the only commercial king crab fishery well, that's not true. There's one in Southeast. This is one of the last big king crab commercial fishing ports in the nation. And this is where you see Deadliest Catch filmed, and a number of other specials have been filmed out of here. And there's still, this is the #1 port in the nation for volume. And that's where a lot of trawlers come in with millions of pounds of pollock. And this is the boat I fished cod on out of Dutch Harbor. This is the Arctic Mariner. So we did cod, and then we did opilio, or snow crab, which is caught in the same pots. You just have to rig them another way. And here is a video. I tried to speed this up, but this is our day-to-day in the Bering Sea, running cod pots. And it's not that exciting, honestly. We never had cameras on the boats because a boat that's working well is going to be kind of boring after a while. After the initial romance wears off and the shock of everything, it's sort of boring. But it's a good crew. That's a good boat. It's been around for a long time. And yeah, I turned the volume down because the noise is pretty awful, actually. The popping of that line going through the block is very loud, and actually if that line pops out of there, it can be pretty dangerous. So I forgot about this. This is me with the bait. This is my first we had 40 pounds of bait in each bag, and man, the bait that's a tough job.
Ryan, would you describe this process a little bit more for like baiting the pots and whatnot, and maybe how that compares to like what our the typical salmon shares fisherman does?
Sure. So we use these. So in the Bering Sea, typically use these giant traps, as you can see, and basically you put big bags of bait in there that attract, in this case, cod. And they come in there and they get trapped, and it creates a little habitat for them. So then more of their buddies show up, and then we, dump them out onto the table like this and bleed them. It's still a pretty high quality product. Cod pot fishing definitely is not as premium quality as the jig caught or the line caught, but it definitely is right up there. As you can see, they're still alive and they're in great shape. But trawl caught gets all smushed and smashed and not as good a product. Different markets. So yeah, we just fill the bait bags, tie the door shut, and the pot goes back over. Can everyone see this video? I'm just curious if everyone is seeing it.
I think so. I think
Cool.
Yep, we have a confirmation. Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. Rinse and repeat all day, all night. We would work 20-hour shifts for cod, and then we would celebrate. Oop. Next slide. Yep. That's me being crazy with wrestling an octopus. They make great bait, by the way. If you pull up a pot with an octopus in it, usually there's nothing else in it. They eat all the cod, and then if you use the octopus for bait, then you have a lot of cod in there because they just eat each other. It's a fish eat fish world down there. And then that's opilio crab. That was after a long 2-month season of doing cod and opilio. And after this, we drove the boat to Seattle. And I read Moby Dick on the way. It was a 10 days straight of seeing the same thing. But yeah, we were pretty happy to be done with that season. And here is a video of trawling. So like I said, I tried to work on every gear type I could. And here is a different way of catching rockfish, which does not bring as good a quality. And it definitely is a bit more wasteful. However, I will get into this later, and I've seen this on all the boats I worked on, is that it wasn't as much about the gear type as it was the person running the boat. It was more about who is fishing, because you can do trawling in a less destructive type of way than is typically done, and you can do long lining and even jigging in a way that is more destructive than it should be. So it's more about who fishes. So here's an offload for the trawl boat. As you can see, they catch massive amounts, and they're getting pennies a pound for these things.
Ryan, do you see this question from Mike? Mike's wondering about use of technology aboard these boats, specifically GPS navigation, or like how you stay in touch with family and friends on the boat.
There's a ton of waste in this. Hello?
Hey, Ryan, you cut out there for a little bit, and we cannot see your presentation right now.
Okay. How's that?
You're back. You're back.
Okay. Yeah, sorry guys. Been having trouble with internet lately. Okay, so I just saw a question.
Mike,
do we have internet when we're out at sea? Robert said. Sometimes on the bigger boats, yes. And as cell coverage is increasing, we have it around Kodiak Island in some areas. That's going to increase. I don't know. They're talking about worldwide satellite internet, so that'll definitely help. But yeah, right now on the bigger boats, we do have it even, hundreds of miles offshore. So this boat that I have a picture of up here, this guy here, this holds about 1 million pounds of fish, and they have since redesigned it. This was back in 2004. This was the last king crab derby that I took place in. But yeah, this is in Dutch Harbor, and what they do now is they actually bring the fish up to the boat and they stick a pump in the net and then pump them all aboard. So even the big guys are trying to be more creative in how to have a bigger product. But this just kind of shows you the scale between us small guys in Kodiak and the big boats. So yeah, I'm a part of a group called NAMA, Northwest Atlantic Marine Alliance, and I really like their slogan of "Who Fishes Matters." This was a scallop boat that I had worked on, and it was with a family that I had long lined with for years, and they had told me that, you know, scallop fishing was not as dirty as everyone thinks. So I said, okay, I'd like to see it, and they bought a scallop boat, and we went scallop fishing. And given the footprint of the scallop dredge, they call it, but it has wheels and it kind of hovers over the bottom of the ocean, and where the scallops live, which is mud and sand, the bycatch is actually really low. I was thoroughly impressed because scallops are tasty, and yeah, they never taste better than fresh out of a shell. I can tell you that. There's ways to do every fishery, I believe, sustainably. I think the real point is to have the person at the wheel have the right mindset. Yeah, so these are some different fishing methods and just random pictures of crew and fishing that I've been a part of. So this guy right here is long lining tubs, and that was on my boat on the Pacific Cloud. This is my friend Aaron, and he was baiting tubs or unbaiting for a long line season. And then this is Crazy Pete. He helped me catch some rockfish, and this is the way we used to do it when we had a low price and we didn't have good markets. We would just catch as much as we could as soon as we could, and we'd throw them all in the checker and let them bleed out, and then ice them really good. And it still made a great product, but now we drop them into slush ice, chill them down really fast, and then ice them further. And then that's my friend on the end who's helping us get some yellow eye. Oops. Okay, so here is a picture of Kodiak, and I really started finding my people. I didn't feel like I fit in Kodiak, and it was this, big truck, big boat, catch more fish attitude. And once I joined the Alaska Marine Conservation Council, I really started to find my people, and they're here in Kodiak too. In fact, they have one of the biggest memberships in the state is out of Kodiak, and I think that's partly because we see firsthand the trawl bycatch and the waste that goes on in the seafood system. So yeah, and NAMA, I just joined them last year under Nick's recommendation, and they are an East Coast group that, same type of values, and together we're all trying to build diverse markets and promote healthy communities. Does anyone have any questions? I'm kind of zooming along here. This is I'm getting into long lining.
Ryan, we had a question earlier also about technology use aboard the boat. Mike was wondering about how you navigate on your boats, whether or not you use GPS, and then also whether or not you use some sort of GPS or satellite phone to stay in touch with family and friends, which kind of ties into the internet question earlier, I imagine.
Yeah, good questions. Yeah, absolutely. So we use there's GPS on our phones now, and I've navigated through some pretty tight passages with my phone, in addition to an onboard GPS system. But they've gotten so good that your phone can help you navigate. You can download an app for $10 and navigate around the world. It's gotten that good. And then also there is a satellite texting unit which uses the Iridium constellation, which is one of the best in the world. Iridium has really good sat phone coverage, but now they have a texting unit. So I'll be out on the fishing grounds, no matter how far offshore, and get a text from somebody. And it's great because when I text them back, they can see my location or not. If it's my other fishing competitors, then we'll turn location off. But my mom loves it. My girlfriend loves it. So yeah, it's great to set up markets too. So a lot of this, what we're doing with salmon shares, has not been possible without technology to coordinate. For instance, delivering to a small scale Kodiak processor, they don't have 24/7 production going on. So you have to coordinate between the weather, the tides, the workers when they're going to show up, and then when the market is going to need it. So it's very tricky, and the technology is making it possible. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Ryan. There's another question from Bruce asking about that halibut that you're holding. Halibut, not haddock, Bruce. There that Ryan has. What would you reckon the weight of that halibut is?
Oh boy. More than I can, lift easily, as you can see there. Probably, I don't know, 150 pounds. It's hard for me to say. It's been a while since I've been longlining. But yeah, these things grow up to be 400 pounds. And I don't love targeting the big ones, although they pay you more for them. The bigger ones are the breeders. But there's always this discussion of, is it better to target the smaller ones versus the older ones? And can't get a straight answer on that. But yeah, they're voracious predators, and they recover well, even when they've been threatened. They've been around since forever, I think, and they'll probably be here long after us, as long as we take care of them, of course.
And thanks, Ryan. And Gina is wondering about your GPS and what on your phone, and whether or not it works when you don't have cell service or internet access. Is that true?
Yes. So the GPS will talk to the GPS satellites with or without cell service. It's pretty cool. So. Okay, well, here is a video that was talked about on NPR about a month or two ago, and this is one of the only documented cases of killer whales and sperm whales taking fish off of our lines. It's been known that that's been happening, but this was kind of scary. We were about 60 miles offshore, and we knew there was whales on us because our catch rate goes way down. We bring in a long line that's on the bottom of the ocean, and this is black cod fishing, so that's very deep. Is probably 400. Let's see, what do we fish? 400 fathoms, and there's 6 feet in a fathom, so very deep. And they just pick them right off the line. I'll let you guys see this. It's muted because there's a lot of swearing, and it's on YouTube under Crazy Whale Guy, if anyone wants to see the unedited version. And it's choppy and rough and an old camera, but yeah, this here was what scared us. I thought he was going to ram the boat, and then off in the distance you can see those are orcas out there, and you could see it better in person. But yeah, it was pretty frightening, and that's some of the stuff that goes on out there that again sobers you up and makes you realize, like, we're small in all of this. This is Kodiak. This is one of the views I never get sick of. We are 99% renewable. We have these wind machines on the mountain. We also have we have a what do they call it? Well, we have a dam, but then we have this other, I forget what they call it. It's a really innovative renewable technology that is there's only a few of them around. But yeah, we're 99% efficient, and just a beautiful place. Let's see, it looks like we have a question from Mike. Yeah, so Mike's asking, am I adverse to seasickness? You know, I never got seasick or car sick as a kid. I always loved roller coasters. And when I got on a boat, the first day felt kind of weird. And if I get on a new boat that I'm not used to how it rolls, I feel a little off. But I've actually only been seasick 3 times in my 15 years. And one of those times was off the coast of Oregon, which they said 90% of the fleet got sick that day. We had a swell from Japan, like a northeast, and then this other southwest chop. And it was just very confused ocean with big tides and a very weird day. And then another time I had proceeded to eat a whole care package from my mom of cookies that she sent up when I skipped a Christmas back home. And then we went out fishing and I got sick then too. So I'm not sure if that was really seasickness or just too much sugar. Mary Ellen is asking how long we're out to sea. So on average, well, now I only do a couple days because we're trying to bring in high quality fish. So I just try to go out on smaller little boats. I sold the Pacific Cloud a couple years ago, and I fish on the Panacea, which is a faster boat, and then a smaller boat. And I also fish on the Lady Viking, which is a boat I just bought this year, which is also faster. So we do like 3 days tops, but we try to come in after 2 days. And we cook on the boat. We have cooking facilities. We have a little hot pot and an oils. There's a good YouTube video on our YouTube site with Drew cooking on the boat. So yeah, it's just like it's like an RV on the water, imagine. Okay, I'll just keep moving right along. So this is jigging. This is my friend Willie on the right. He came up from Hilton, where I'm from, and went fishing with me. That was when I was a greenhorn skipper and he was a greenhorn fisherman. So it was a pretty adventurous time. And then there was our nice random fall catch on the left of jigging. I had the longline reel on board, which is this. Let's see if I can circle this for you guys. This is a longline reel, and what we could do in Kodiak is we could jig, and then we could also longline. Sometimes, depending if it was a federal season or a state season, there was a lot of rules you had to follow, but it could help you diversify gear types, and longlining can be done really, really clean as well. So that's another gear type I tried on my boat. But yeah, this was in 2008, I believe. Here is fishing this year on the Lady Viking on my new boat, and this is the one on the left. Here's one day. We didn't catch hardly anything, and that's how it goes. It doesn't. It's a little frustrating. You can get all your gear working and the weather's right and the boat works and it seems like you should be catching a lot of fish, and you don't. It ends up like this. And then on the right here, same thing, same amount of time, and we just filled the tote right up. That was a good, fun little quick trip. We were actually just testing things out that day, and we had a nice little shot of fish. I'm trying to read this question. Mary Ellen Hafner, how many fish as a family? So, I'm not sure. We have a bunch of fishing families in Sitka, and I'm more based out of Kodiak. So Kodiak doesn't have as many as Sitka. It's definitely a different vibe there. And it seems like there's a lot more bigger boats, and people go out. When they say they're going out west from Kodiak, they go out to Dutch Harbor and the Bering Sea, or to other farther away places. But in the summertime, there's a seine fishery in Kodiak that some families go on, but I still don't see as many as the trollers in Southeast. We don't have a troll fishery in Kodiak, so we just jig, potfish, seine, and yeah, I'm not really sure, Mary. Oops. Yeah, so if anyone's seen our YouTube videos and our stuff, you've probably seen these pictures where we, they show us handling the fish better than some of the other gear types, and the whole motto is slow fishing, and I like the slow fish movement in the U.S. now, where it's like about slowing down and taking better care of things and really enjoying it, focusing on family and higher quality ingredients. Oops, sorry. So yeah, we're getting towards the end. These are some books that I like. Extra Tough on the left here is, I'm not sure if you can actually get it. I saw it on Salmon Sisters website, but it may have been sold out. But a friend of mine, Mo Boustern is her pen name. This particular issue is great. It's just some great stories about greenhorns and the adventures that happen on seine boats, mainly around Kodiak, because that's where she was based out of. Ocean Almanac is just should be required reading for anyone on a boat or just interested in the ocean at all. It's got, it tells you where all the superstitions came from, like the don't leave on a Friday is actually related to, Jesus was crucified on a Friday. And there's stories about the U.S. or the Royal Navy built a boat called the USS Friday and built it on a Friday, sailed it on a Friday, and never saw it again. So it gives you all those stories and way more. It's just a huge, awesome piece of work. And then cod was on all the jig boats I was on, because that's what we were targeting, and it gives you a great history of the East Coast cod and what happened out there, and hopefully we can avoid that in Kodiak by being a little more responsible and better stewards of the resource. We had an 80% decline in the cod stock in the Gulf in 2016, which it's frightening. We just saw that warm weather spell this year, warmest recorded day in Anchorage ever, 90 degrees, and I'm terrified to see what that brings with it. As Nick talked about, some species will do better and others will not do so well, and we don't know what that's going to be exactly. But yeah, that book is great. And then the Young Fisherman's Almanac, and that's an Alaska Marine Conservation Council project with stories, poems, pictures, recipes, and all kinds of great stuff. And we're actually looking for submissions for the second version. If you know of anyone who's a good writer or would be good at something for the Young Fisherman's Almanac. And I see a question from Mike. Would I characterize my work as a fisherman a year-round occupation, or am I engaged in other forms of work? Good question, Mike. So I'm kind of unique in that I fish in the winter mostly and in the spring, and then and now I'm down in the lower 48 in Buffalo, helping spread salmon shares throughout my home turf in Western New York. So most people are up fishing for salmon right now and halibut and all the other fisheries going on. But yeah, I'm down here raising my 1-year-old and hanging out with my family. And so it's not year round anymore. It definitely was for a long time. And my body is telling me I should do other things as well as fish. I'm going to keep fishing, I still have a boat in Alaska, and I plan to do some fishing out of Southeast. But yeah, I still it could very well could be a year-round occupation, but I try to keep it seasonal. So yeah, what can we do? Know your fish, know your fisherman. Local catch. We're actually on the local catch website, and a lot of people. I know I'm trying to get into local only farmers markets around here, and in the Great Lakes there isn't too many commercial fisheries, and so they are letting us into the local only farmers markets around here and in the Midwest, because we are embracing local values. You know, localcatch.org is a great resource on that shares our ideals. In fact, Kelly Harrell is on the steering committee, and she'll be doing the next lunch and learn. And she's also a part of Salmon Shares, our chief sustainability officer. And yeah, I worked with her at the Alaska Marine Conservation Council. She was the executive director of that organization, and just a powerhouse at getting things done and getting our mission out there. So yeah, well, I don't have too much more, guys. I'd like to open this up to any questions you guys might have. Uh-oh. Did I lose everybody?
We got you, Ryan. Here's a question from Robert, Ryan, and feel free to unmute yourself and ask these questions directly to Ryan if you prefer. But Robert's wondering what you enjoy most about fishing, Ryan.
That's tough. It changes every day. Overall, I can say that it's the feeling of freedom, getting out on the boat and throwing the lines and heading out to catch the fish. It's just an amazing feeling. And then some of the things that happen when you're out there, like I've got a video of these whales rubbing up against my boat, and we stuck a GoPro down there and listened to them. You get to hear them talking. They were hunting and communicating with each other, and just would not expect something like that to happen. But yeah, there's a number of things I love. I love being able to work really hard and sometimes make a lot of money, and sometimes not. But either way, I guess I've been always just loved being my own boss. And that's probably the biggest appeal for me personally. I'm definitely okay with having a boss now, and taking a back seat to things, having a daughter. But yeah, the freedom is the most appealing thing for me, and still having the opportunity to be able to do this. And I love being able to direct market and talk to people that we're selling our fish to. I think that should be a given. I think it should be normal, but it's funny how far away from that we've gotten. Thank you, Mary Ellen. She was saying that she likes that we have staff now. Yeah, Western New York has been very welcoming to us. And so now we can, instead of me just being at one single market on a Saturday, we can send some staff to different markets and have a wider footprint and get our story out to more people. And actually, Mary Jo goes to Williamsville, which is she was a share member and still is. And so, yeah, she's been great. Robert's asking, what type of technology would best help you more on the boat at sea? Well, actually, I'm working with a couple of different organizations, Robert, and I didn't even touch on that in here because I just didn't have time. But yeah, we're working on traceability software. And what I would like is to be able to collect more data easily. We're working on ways to collect sea surface temperature, salinity, how our engines are running, so the engine manufacturer can make more efficient designs. I'm really interested in electric propulsion systems so that we don't have to run engines while we're on the grounds. I'm also interested in blockchain and how that can help us trace our fish all the way to you guys. And it might not be blockchain, but it just be some kind of traceability software that will follow the fish and give you guys some more assurance of where it came from and who caught it. That would help me because I think most harvesters, it really will reward the ones that are doing good and creating a good product. So yeah, I think more data collection devices. We have a partnership with a company called Seafood Analytics, and Salmon Shares has teamed up with them even before I joined the company and even knew about them. They have a device where they can measure the bioimpedance of a fish, which will tell you how old the fish is or if it's been frozen before. And it's still a work in progress, as most of this stuff is. But I think a couple things that are coming out in the next few years, like internet everywhere, if that happens, more connectivity would definitely help out at sea. Good questions, you guys. I have a ton more. I mean, this was really quick, and this is my first PowerPoint presentation ever. So thanks for bearing with me. Definitely a little rough around the edges, and I want to do more of these and make them a little more comprehensive on certain areas. Mary Ellen's asking, what is my favorite Sitka fish right now? I love coho. I love coho sliders. I love coho burger meat. I love smoked coho. I really can't get enough coho, which is good because there's lots of them, and they're fun to catch. I catch them on my jigs sometimes when we're not targeting them. Yeah, I love coho. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. You guys are the reason we're doing all this. So, and I think these even as small as we are, we've got tremendous momentum, and it's thanks to you folks.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, and if you all want to learn more about companies like Salmon Shares and the broader CSF movement, Kelly is going to be doing our next Lunch and Learn on that topic exactly in about a month now, in August. So you'll be getting emails from me about that. So stay tuned. We look forward to the next session with you all.
Great.
All right. Thanks. That's a wrap.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Everyone.